What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk warm-up. And when we talk warm-up, you normally hear the acronym RAMP, and it's talking raise body temperature, activate the muscles we're going to use in the session, mobilize so we can get into the positions that we need to be able to get into, and then potentiate the muscles for the session of what we're going to do. I like to think of warm-up real simple as prepare the athlete for the demands of the session that we're going to be going through. So your warm-up's going to be different when we look at like what we're going to do for a full warm-up. If we're sprinting that day, we're changing direction, or if we're going like a heavy bench session, your warm-up should reflect what the session is going to be. What do we need to prep to be prepared to do that session? So for example, when we're talking like a sprint warm-up, you're going to go through some dynamic stretching of the lower legs, your hamstrings, your quads, your hips, all that. You might see like a Spider-Man lunge where we're getting that deep stretch into the hip flexor. We come up, get a big hamstring stretch, and we're getting that T-spine rotation. Because what's going to happen as we're sprinting, we're going to be rotating thoracically. When we're looking at like, then you're going to move to a little bit of higher speed stuff like high knees, butt kicks. I like a shuffle with an arm swing because I really like getting the arms ready for the swing that they're going to be doing in your sprints. Now, when we go to, then I personally like to program some sprint mechanic drills as we're warming up. That way we're getting basically working on that form that we need. So like A skips, B skips, straight leg skips, anything like that. You might see a reach back to prep for the demand of the sprint. Another thing we can do in warm-ups is we can microdose some different things that we want to address. So we can microdose with like a hop series where we're microdosing some extensive hops to build up basically some more stretch shortening cycle. So it allows us to do things that we can basically take advantage of our warm-up to get little small dosages of things that we need to work on. And then, as I said, I really like my sprint mechanic drills, so I'll go through dribbles to work on cycles right before we go into 80-90%, and then you're going into your sprinting session. So it's getting you completely, it's addressing all this ramp, but what are we going to be doing? We're sprinting, so we need to be ready for the session, and getting those exercises in that start working your sprint mechanics just makes sense because we want to sprint with great form to achieve great speeds. Now, now addressing like a gen pop warm-up is going to be very different than like our athlete where we're meticulous over like certain things and how we're prepping. Gen pop might be a little bit more general on how we're warming up. Say we're going through a full body workout with an adult client. You're going to look at like a cat-cow to mobilize the flexion and extension in the thoracic spine. Maybe thread the needle so we're getting that thoracic rotation, really open up their shoulders so they can move better. You might throw in floor angels as well, use gravity to help them get in the position so we can maybe go into overhead if they're cleared for that based off what they can do, or we can do that to help start working towards building that overhead range. Adductor rocks, get the hips nice and loose, ankle rocks, get the calves ready for the session so we have a little bit better mobility. You can look at 90-90 hip mobility. Assisted lunge, you may go up. I like doing like assisted lunge, working on range of motion for a lot of people because a lot of the adult clientele that you're going to deal with may not have the ability to do a lunge without it being assisted or basically some sort of help. Because you can do that, or like some clientele that may be far off, you might want to go like a squat to a higher box and then build your way down to lower boxes. When we're talking sumo squat for hamstrings, things like that, really get prepped for the session of a full body workout. Your upper body is going to probably look a little more simple in how you get them ready for the session. So if we're doing like a push-pull session where it's horizontal, you're probably going to see like arm circles, axial rotations to set up the shoulder, but then you're going to see like a hands elevated push-up we know we're gonna be doing a pressing session of like horizontal, where it could be dumbbell bench, something like that. We probably wanna go like a push-up, and a lot of clientele you're gonna deal with might not be able to go from the floor, or it might be an intense exercise for them. So how are we gonna lower that demand to prep them for the session? Band pull aparts or some rows or something to get your horizontal row type variation in. And like that's a basis of your warm-up. It needs to really prepare the client for the session that you're about to go through.